Hello everyone! Last week we learned more about the Arako's history and we helped them in the war against the adherents within the Spires of Arak. Only one zone remains, Nagrand, home to the Warsong clan and the warlord Garrosh Hellscream. Garrosh, he was the one who put these events in motion, who created the Iron Horde and manipulated Grommashar into invading our reality, so we need to bring him to justice, while also dealing with the Shadow Council and some small interesting storylines. Let's dive straight into it and let's begin, shall we? The storyline in Nagrand is pretty much the same for both the Alliance and the Horde, with the difference being the characters that you quest with. For the Horde, we're told that getting a foothold in Nagrand is a great idea, and our troops have already been working on getting a base. Thrall went ahead, while a different caravan shipment, it tried to reach our base, but the shipment was attacked by the Warsong clan, and they stole an important blueprint. They took the blueprint towards the Burning Blade base, and we need to get that blueprint back. At our base, we discover that more reinforcements from Azeroth have made their way to Draenor, and I don't believe that they've given a solid reason as to how these troops get there. We disconnected the Dark Portal to prevent the Iron Horde from invading Azeroth, but apparently our troops, they've no problem at all with creating more portals and getting to Draenor themselves. In this case, we find Agra, Thrall's mate, and she says the following. Go'el thinks that I should have stayed back in Azeroth with our children. I've put him in his place on this matter. My Go'el and I have been through much together. Now is not the time for us to be apart. To be back in Nagrand after all of this time, it's a bit overwhelming for us both. I just wish for us to both get back to our little ones once this is all over. The story behind this is that originally Blizzard planned on making this a boys trip only. That's the way that they announced it at BlizzCon. But after hearing feedback about this from the community, they definitely changed their minds. In Warcraft we read that Agra was pregnant with their second child and apparently she already gave birth to it. So now someone is looking after their two children while Agra joins Thrall. Perhaps this is the reason why we don't see Vol'jin on Draenor. Perhaps they put him on babysitting duty. Who knows who's doing that right now? All we know is that Agra's here and she's standing at Thrall's side.
Together we will bring justice to Garrosh and the Warsong clan.
We motivate some peons in the garrison outpost by giving them a firm kick to the head, and after that it's time to make our way to the Burning Blade clan and get those blueprints back.
Burning Blade is an honorable clan, but they have chosen the wrong side in this conflict.
The Burning Blade clan from our reality was not so much a clan as it was more a group of very skilled blade masters that came together. They razed and plundered, they would attack anything that they saw as a threat, they would even attack their fellow orcs. Over time, the clan would get corrupted and it would split off into the Burning Blade cult, which worked together with demons, but some blade masters, they would stick to their roots and remain honorful fighters. In Outland, in Nagrand, we found a blade master by the name of Lanthrasher of the Blade. This half-orc half-Draenei had become the leader of the Boulderfish clan, and we wanted to make peace with him and his ogres, but at first he just laughed in our face at even the idea of making peace, but then he's willing to talk if we help him out with his plan. He wants to place the Kill Sorrow clan against the ogres of Warmaul, and after we help with this, he agrees to a peace, and all is fine in Nagrand. On Draenor, we also find Lanthrasher of the Blade, only here he isn't the leader of his own clan yet. Here he's been exiled by his enemies within the Burning Blade clan for being a half-orc, half-Draenei. I'm not sure how exactly that happened. Orcs and Draenei, they're not on peaceful terms right now, but perhaps his mother and father, they saw beyond race and they fell in love. That would be the nice version of the story, but we don't know exactly how that happened. He's here, he's exiled, and he wants justice. To do this, we will need to get him his blade and banner back, and with those items returned, we go into the Master's Cavern to challenge the leaders of the clan and get our blueprint back. Warlord Darl of the Thrice Bloody Blade accepts our challenge, and he first sends in pack leader Draenrook, since it was Draenrook that stole the blueprints. We take out this orc of the Warsong clan, and the second challenge is to take on both of Darl's grandsons. We already killed their father outside to retrieve Lanthrasher's blade, so it's only fitting that his sons get a chance for revenge. Even these skilled blade masters, they are no match for us, and Darl himself, honor be damned, he jumps into the arena to face us. We do not stand alone against this warlord. Lanthrasher joins us in the fight, and together we're able to take out the masters and retrieve our blueprints. With all the masters dead, there's a change in power within the Burning Blade clan, and it's Azuka Blade Fury, daughter of Darl, that walks up to us and claims that she, by right of accession, she assumes the mantle of warlords. Let any who dare to stand against her challenge her now, but none of the Burning Blade do. We're allowed to leave unharmed, but the next time that we face Azuka Azuka, she promises that she'll kill us, while Lantracer, he is still not allowed to return to the clan. He had no right to join our fight, so he will remain a half-breed and he will remain an exile. Lantracer of the Blade, he tosses his banner on the ground and he claims that Azuka is wrong. It's not he, but the burning blade that is not worthy of him. When we return to the outpost, we find Lantracer, who's so impressed with us, he's without a clan now, and he would love to join us as a follower. We can always use someone to work for us in the mines, so Lantracer is more than welcome to join. Next, it's picking what building we want for the garrison outpost, either the tank or being able to fight on a mount, and after that, we get to experience several storylines.
Earth Mother willing, you and the Shadow Hunters will expel the Warsong from Telar.
First up is the city of Telar, which in our reality was the major city in Nagrand for the Alliance, but here the Warsong have managed to take over the city. Shadowhunter Kayasha, she's already sent in some of her Shadowhunters to take care of business, but the Warsong clan, they managed to take them out. We need to go in and help their spirits find their way to Samiri, Loa of the Grave, and I thought that this was very interesting, since I didn't really understand the difference between Samiri and Wonsamdi, the Loa of the Dead. So I also around on Twitter, and apparently Samiri was only part of the RPGs. When something's part of the RPGs, it means that in general sense it's not canon, it's not part of the official lore. Her being used in this case is probably an oversight on Blizzard's part, and what they really meant was to use Bonsamdi's name, only they used Samidi's name in this case. This is just what we came up with on Twitter though. It could very well be that there are two Loas, that there's a Loa of the Grave and a Loa of the Dead. Regardless of that, we need to help the spirits find their way, while also taking care of the Warsong clan that are trying to raise a shield. Naturally, we can't allow this to happen. We can't let this Draenei technology fall into Orcish hands, so we go in, we kill the orcs, we raise the shield so that we can take out the pack leader, we destroy the crystal, and we make sure that the city is liberated. Next up, we take on the ogres at Maragog's Overwatch. There they're doing research to make incredibly powerful ogres to nullify magic and to make their Felbreakers even stronger. We have to go in to destroy the research, to kill a couple of ogres. We need to take care of Regluk, while also disconnecting the portal directly to Heimal. Regluk is not easy to kill and he hides away in his own shield, while putting us against one of his latest creations, Bulgorg, who is immune to wind magic. Thankfully, we have all kinds of magics at our disposal, so we're able to take Bulgorg out, but Regluk he escapes, and he says that he'll continue his research at Heimal. I've been asking around to see if I missed anything about this, but apparently I didn't, and Regluk he simply doesn't show up during the raid encounter. We do see some empowered ogres here and there, we do see some results of his studies, but I wonder if they simply cut him out of the story, or if they forgot about him. A lot of you have asked me what's exactly going on with the ogres at Heimal and why they're working together with the orcs. For those that have seen the Lords of War videos, especially the ones with Grommashar and Kargov Bladefist, you might have seen that the orcs and the ogres, they were going at each other. The orcs and ogres, they despised each other. The ogres enslaved orcs. The orcs, they murdered ogres. They even killed Grommashar's mate. And Kargov, he took out the last ogre emperor in Heimal. Now that we have the orcs uniting and rising as one Iron Horde, Imperator Margok, the new ruler of the ogres at Heimal, he realized that it would be in the best interest to unite with the orcs and work together. Don't get me wrong, he would betray the orcs in a heartbeat if the moment would arise, but for the moment they're working together and they're standing against us as a united force. Even though we go into Heimal and we take care of business, we take care of the ogres and we make sure that they're no longer allies to the Iron Horde, it's probably not the last that we've seen of the ogres and their empire. There's a large chunk of unexplored land on the map, which they said at BlizzCon would be like a massive ogre empire. So perhaps that's where we'll see Regluk and more of his research again. We'll have to wait and see what Blizzard's going to do, what kind of stories there's left to tell. For now, after dealing with the ogres and the Warsong clan at Telar, it's time to move forward and make our way to Grommashar, where Garrosh and the Warsong clan waits. Durotan has gone ahead and made a forward base at the Riverside Post, and they've even been able to take Lokrath from the Warsong clan. The honor of accepting their surrender has been left to us, so we get to talk with Uruk Folkleaver.
Watch yourself, Commander. Despite our victory, the Warsong are never to be underestimated.
Durotan's warning was not unnecessary, since Uruk and his people, they had no intention to surrender. In fact, this was a trap laid down for us, and Uruk, he is able to liberate himself and rally his clanmates against us. If the Warsong clan refused to surrender peacefully, then there's nothing left for us to do than to kill each and every one of them, while also taking out the weapons and taking care of a mighty wolf by the name of Shagor. With the village of Lokrav secure and their leader taken out, Durotan says that he will finish off the remaining Warsong orcs and then will assault Grommashar together.
Run, I'll see you at the gates of Grommashar.
Before we finish off that storyline, I first want to cover another major storyline that's going on in Nagrand, but this one started in either Shadowmoon Valley or in Frostfire Ridge. Gul'dan, Void and Cho'gall, the members of the Shadow Council that we liberate in Tanaan Jungle, they're working together on their own schemes while the Iron Horde does its thing.
Cho'gal, we'll finish your Frostfire business together. I'm sending you to Nagrand to subjugate the Naru and Ashogun. I will crush it!
The Pale had the key.
All I require is its limitless power.
The Naru in Oshugan is called Kur, and this was the Naru who made first contact with Velen and the Draenei. This is the Naru that saved them from having to join the Burning Legion, and it was he who showed up in their spaceship and got them off the planet. When the Draenei reached the planet that they will call Draenor, Kur fell ill, and they had to make a crash landing, and when a Naru falls ill, it enters a darkened state in which it unwittingly draws in souls of the deceased. This process, if given enough time, can actually cure a Naru, bring it back to a holy state, but when you push a Naru further, when you take away his light, you will push it into a void state. Great power can be had from a Naru, as our Blood Elves found out when they started to drain a Naru from its holy light, and this allowed them to create a new faction known as the Blood Knights, Blood Elf Paladins. Now Cho'gal is sent to get his hands on this power, and for this he will use the Pale Orcs. When young orc shaman from around the world come of age, they make a pilgrimage to the Throne of Elements to seek the blessing of the elemental spirits. The entire journey is filled with risk, but the ceremony itself is the most dangerous time of an orcish life. It's not clear what happens to those who are not strong enough and succumb to terrible visions and unearthly whispers during what should be the triumph of their young life. Those orcs who fall to otherworldly voices flee their clan and become the pale, withered remains of their former selves, hiding from the light and babbling incoherently in dark caves. Are they truly insane, or have they actually made contact with a malevolent force? This is taken from the World of Warcraft website. So Pale Orcs, they're orcish shamans who, when they traveled to the Throne of Elements, they were not strong enough to follow their path, and instead they fell to darkness. It's at the Throne of Elements where our storyline continues, as Drek'thar has been summoned by the Furies.
Furies of the Throne of Elements, we answer your call. How may we serve?
A dark presence grows in the west. Gordog, the great earthen fury, has gone missing.
Without a fury of earth upon the throne, the elemental bonds that hold this world together weaken.
The balance has been disrupted. The elemental plateau has grown unstable and must be purged. If left imbalanced, the elements will rage across this valley, tearing all life asunder.
Your dog must be found and returned to the throne.
The fate of the elements rests in your hands.
Your will is understood. Gordog will be found and the balance restored.
In order to figure out what exactly happened to Gordog, we'll have to undertake the ritual of binding, and to undergo the ritual, we'll have to attune ourselves to the elements. At the same time, we'll also have to help out the elements itself, since the disappearance of one of them has sent all of them into chaos. Water, air, fire and earth, it's all fighting each other now, it's out of balance, so we need to take out those beyond control, we need to collect their essence, and we need to restore balance. Besides helping out the elements and attuning ourselves, we're also asked to help out an orc called Garrosh, Keeper of the Elements. Garrosh has been called to serve the Throne of Elements as his keeper, and he's been a loyal friend for many years, but now his time is coming and he will soon join his beloved departed mates. Before he goes, Garrosh he wants to place a special flower upon his mate's grave just one last time, so we get him the flower. In his youth, Garrosh knew an orc called Chell, and even though he has become old and grey, she has kept her youth and beauty. He always suspected that Chell had something to do with the death of his mate, so he wants us to confront her, he wants to find out the truth, and in Chell's cave, we find out that it was indeed she who murdered Garrosh's mate. She attacks us with demonic powers and powers from the void. She's even able to transform her appearance into that of a troll. So you have to wonder what kind of creature we're dealing with here. Even creepier is that in our reality, you can also find Chell in Nagrand, where she has a home for little tykes and she actually takes care of little children. Witches, they have to feed. She needs to feed on these children to keep herself young and beautiful and powerful. In truth, Chell is a witch in both realities, and she's a twisted, evil being. Thankfully on this Draenor, we managed to take her out before she can even open up this daycare center, and with finally knowing the truth behind the death of his mate, Garrosh he closed his eyes for the final time. This old orc, this keeper of the elements, has finally fulfilled his duty, and he's finally reunited with his mates. With all of that done, with attuning ourselves, with cleaning up the Throne of Elements, we undergo the ritual of binding, and we find out that Gul'dan has indeed been enslaved by Cho'gal and his troops. In the chamber beyond, Cho'gal he is draining the Narukur of its powers.
Cho'gal, I sent you here to enslave this thing. Where is my power, ogre? Your power?
It's my power!
You will obey, disciple. Hand over its reins. I think not.
We're done taking orders from you.
We've learned much from Quore.
We're writing a book.
You're insane. Run away, old man!
Soon, Heimel will burn. Then, the world.
Cho'gal, similar to Tarangor, he has apparently had enough of serving Gul'dan. He thinks that he has all the power that he requires, and he set his eyes not on what Gul'dan wants, instead he wants to take on Heimel, and then the rest of the world. We need to stop Cho'gal, of course, so we make our way to the Underpale and Oshu'gun, while taking out some of the Pale Orcs and their enslaved elementals. Deep inside, we find Gul'dan, and although it's with a heavy heart, we need to take him out if we want to proceed.
You bring honor to our clan.
Go! I will hold back any reinforcements that attempt to follow.
Master commands, and I obey.
Gul'dan is a mighty earth fury, but we manage to take him down and we take with us his heart. This heart, it will allow Gul'dan to be reborn in time. That's the cycle of rebirth with the elements. So even though this incarnation is gone, in the future a new one will rise. The elements, they will be restored to balance, so this leaves us with only one final task, taking on Cho'gal. But it's not that simple. The ogre has finished his spell, he has absorbed all the power he could from Kur, and he leaves us with nothing but the void god known as Decimatus. Those of you that have done the Sunwell raid in the past, you might remember facing off against a similar creature, and back then it was the Blood Elves that drained the Naru and turned it into a void god. Now it's Cho'gal, so we destroy the void god, we make sure that it doesn't do any more damage to the rest of Nagrand, and we return the heart of Gul'dan to the Furies, waiting at the Throne of Elements.
Though much has been lost, I sense a great peace in the elements. I will remember your courage always, friend.
Even though we took out Decimatus, its influence and the whole Void storyline, it has not yet come to an end. The shamans of the area, they've been abusing their gifts to tap into the powers of the Void. It created rifts between Draenor and the Twisting Nether. We're actually sent into the Twisting Nether to close these rifts, and apparently the Twisting Nether is just a purple version of Nagrand, but besides that, we need to make sure that the Void is not allowed to enter our realm and cause more damage. We also have the spirits of the deceased that have always been drawn to Oshu'gun, on. That's always been the case with the Nauru there, but now this attraction has turned darker. At the ancestral grounds, we find the spirits of Garruk and the Haka, the same Garruk that we helped at the Throne of Elements, and they asked of us to help them by lighting the ceremonial pyres, take out some of the tormented echoes, and we even take on the spirits of Grommashar's father. This whole Void storyline, in my opinion, it seems like an untold story. We get bits and pieces here and there, like with the Pale Orcs in Highmaul, Cho'gal's power. All in all, there just seems to be a dark storm on the horizon. There is a threat besides the Ogres, besides the Iron Horde, besides the Burning Legion, and it's just waiting for the right moment to swoop in and take control. But as always, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, I really hope that Blizzard will give it the attention that it deserves.
Come.
You can never escape.
Now to finish off this video, we have one last task to complete, getting to Garrosh Hellscream.
Agra, let's get in there.
Demolishers! Fire!
Advance! Warsong, bring me their heads!
Garrosh Hellscream, together with the Bronze Dragon Kairos Dormu, they escaped our reality, they traveled to this alternate Draenor, and they started this Iron Horde invasion. The mastermind behind these plans, he has escaped his trial, he escaped our justice, and it's time to make things right. Together with Durotan and Agra, if you play for the Horde, we assault the gates of Grommashar, and we take out anything that Garrosh places in our way. Countless orcs, they die before our might, until we reach the final gates, and we get to face off against Warlords Garrosh Hellscream of the Warsong clan.
Stay strong.
Come, War Chief. I am waiting.
Agra, I need you and our forces to stay here. Buy us the time we need to deal with Garrosh.
Please know, Durotan, you have been like a father to Thrall. Blow open these gates!
You're a fool to come here. You think after everything, you can kill me.
We'll bring you to justice, monster!
Justice? You don't know the meaning of the word.
Agra mentions to Durotan that he's been like a father to Thrall, and of course we know that in our reality, Durotan is actually Thrall's father, but they've never told this version of Durotan. We face off against the might of Gorhal, which I presume is Grommashar's Gorhal, since Garrosh, he left his weapon behind in our reality. We try to bring down the Warlords, but unfortunately, Garrosh, he's always been a skilled fighter, and even though it's 2 against 1, he manages to get the upper hand.
I cannot be defeated! Now, you die. Garrosh! Thrall! You're too late, old friend.
No more, Garrosh. Just you and me. I challenge you to Mak'gora! Thrall. No.
Very well, Shaman. We finish this alone, where it all began, at the Stones of Prophecy.
You must answer for your crimes, Garrosh.
All I did it for the Horde!
You failed the Horde!
strength of a true warrior.
I do not rely on strength alone, Garrosh. My power is all around you.
You made me what I am.
No. You chose your own destiny.
Garrosh escaped the trial given to him by Pandoran law, but here we see the Orcish way, a trial by Mak'gora. Thrall executes the son of one of his best friends, the orc we envisioned to lead the Horde to a prosperous future. But instead Garrosh, he broke the Horde and he formed his true Horde. When this true Horde failed, he deceived Grommashar into forming the Iron Horde to again try to get it all his way. But now he finally met with Orcish justice. The first time that I saw this cinematic, I was amazed, I was surprised, I was simply overwhelmed with what I thought to be a really good cinematic. I think they made it very beautiful, they made it look very interesting, and that climax, that ending, my mind was blown. But there are some things to be said. Some of you mentioned that by using his shamanistic powers, Thrall cheated and lost all his honor during this fight, but I personally disagree with that. There's no official rule that I know of that makes it illegal to use your shamanistic powers, and besides that, Garrosh, he knew full well that Thrall was a shaman. He even says so before they begin the fight. So on that part, I don't believe Thrall cheated. If you really want to place the rulebook next to it, and those are just the rules that we know of, then Thrall cheated by using armor, and Garrosh cheated by not having a witness. That's just, in my opinion, nitpicking and a very minor thing though. Personally, I believe that they just wanted to show something very cool and give a finality to the Thrall-Garrosh storyline. On that part, I think that they truly delivered. I think picking Thrall to steal the kill once again is a bit of a letdown for the overall storyline, but for these two characters, their individual storylines, I think it's a pretty nice conclusion. It was at this location where Thrall found Garrosh in Outland so long ago, an orc filled with doubt, living in the shadow of his father's mistakes. And Thrall, he got him out of there. He told Garrosh the other side of Grommashar's story. He planted a seed of pride. And later, when Thrall left the Horde to save Azeroth, he should have listened to his old friend Cairn and not placed Garrosh in the position of war chief. Even Garrosh himself acknowledged that he wasn't the right orc for the job, but Thrall, he simply didn't listen. This major mistake, it led to a civil war within the Horde itself. Alliance and Horde united against the true Horde, and then again against the Iron Horde. Looking back, it's always easy to say that you should or shouldn't have done something, and we see it in this fight. Garrosh, he places the truth at Thrall's feet, and I really hope that they'll add a little bit more story to this overall cinematic, this conclusion to their storyline. I would love to see Wonderboy Thrall struggle with what he had to do, what he did, and not just walk away from it all with no change at all. That, in my opinion, would just suck. Some of you asked me if Thrall is now the leader of the Warsong clan, but I don't believe that's the case. This Mak'gora, it was not for leadership of the clan, it was to bring Garrosh to justice, and besides that, we pretty much took care of the Warsong clan stationed in Nagrand. So, no, I don't see Thrall leading these orcs. Now, my apologies for the little rant at the end of the video. It didn't really fit into the overall storyline, but I've been getting a lot of questions about the cinematic, and I wanted to take the opportunity to explain a little bit more. With this conclusion, we've finished up the storyline, and we've done the final available zone. Tanaan Jungle was supposed to be part of the initial content, but they cut it out, they moved it to a later patch. This means that we still have Kilrock and his Bleeding Hollow clan, we still have Garrosh Hellscream, we still have Hazuka and the Burning Blade clan, we still have Gul'dan and his plans, we still have plenty of story left to explore, and hopefully we'll get it all done. For the moment, I'm going to wrap up this video because I've been talking for long enough. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time, guys, see ya!
Hero, our trust in you was not misplaced. You and the armies you command are now our greatest weapon against the Iron Horde. Lead us to victory, General.
Hero, our trust in you was not misplaced. You and the armies you command are now our greatest weapon against the Iron Horde. Lead us to victory, General.